In this video, we'll look at solving equations involving proportions. First, a few definitions. A ratio compares two quantities by division. For example, 2/3. A proportion is a statement that two ratios are equal. For example, 1/2 equals 4/8. This is a proportion. To solve a proportion, we will cross multiply. So A times D is AD, and cross that with B times C equals BC. We use cross multiplication to solve a proportion. For example, notice here we have a proportion. To solve this, we want to start by cross multiplying. 22 times x equals 60 minus x times 2. If you prefer, you can put the 2 to the front of the parentheses. The next thing we want to do is distribute the 2. We get 120 minus 2x. Add the 2x to both sides. (24x) equals 120. Finally, we will divide by 24. And we get x is equal to 5. In this example, we have an application. Property tax on a house with a value of $250,000 is $3,500. What is the tax on property valued at $420,000? Start by setting up a proportion. We have a house valued at $250,000 with a tax value of $3,500. So this is our first ratio. We have the value over the tax amount. When we set up the right side of the equation, we want to make sure that those ratios are the same. If the numerator of our first fraction has the value needs to be in the numerator on the other ratio. 420,000, and then we're looking for the tax value on that house. So we'll give it a variable x. And now to solve this, we cross multiply. 250,000 x equals 3,500 times 420,000. Simplifying this, for 250,000 x equals, we get 1,470,000,000. Next, divide by 250,000. And we can see that x is $5,880. That is the tax on a house valued at $420,000. Up next, a wildlife biologist catch, tag, and release 120 deer back into a wildlife refuge. 2 weeks later, they observe a sample of 150 deer, 25 of which are tagged. Assuming the ratio of tagged deer in the sample holds for all deer in the refuge, approximately how many deer are in the refuge? Start by setting up a ratio. The first, we have 120 deer that have been tagged. We don't know the total amount of deer, so we'll give it a variable. With our second ratio, we want to keep the same setup. Tagged over the total. So of the sample, 25 were tagged out of the total sampled 150. Now solving, we will cross multiply. 25x equals 120 times 150. 25x is equal to 18,000. Divide both sides by 25. And we get that x is 720 deer. So that's the total amount of deer originally.